Clegg taking an unofficial sponge. And Tony O'Kell has dropped well behind those three. Those two, I should say. He's in third position, in fact. Something of a problem contending with the traffic on this stretch of the road. And in fact, Tony O'Kell has an escort of cyclists who are riding well out into the road to protect him from traffic. And here's a taxi coming up. I mean, these guys are so far ahead, one could imagine that anybody chasing them would probably have to get in that taxi to get anywhere near them. But that is not allowed. They would be disqualified, and I'm sure none of them would attempt to do that anyway. And the lead of Steve Brace is growing slowly as he approaches the top of the hill, and the magnificent view of the Cheshire Plain in the background there. He's looking to his right. There's a folly, a huge tower. Hart's Head Pike. He's had a look at that. He's had a look to his left, or sorry, his right, to check where Harry Clegg is. He's well down. He looks at Hart's Head Pike again and then starts his descent. And again, he's always aware of picking up time in case somewhere in the race he has some kind of a disaster and he needs some seconds or minutes in the bank, and he's really striding for home here. Welcome to the third stage, halfway through the Tour of Tameside. The Adidas run across Tameside, 11 miles, which I believe was 8 miles nice and easy, and then 3 miles of pure murder. We'll do the men first tonight. And the winner again, and he's heading for Eddie Hellebuyk's record of 6 stage wins. And there might be a couple of people who are going to dispute that a bit later on. But Steve Brace from Bridgend, 57.04, the winner again. Well done. And in the ladies, Karen Wapshot from Bracknell stretches her lead a lot further, and her time was 1 hour 11:35. Well done, Karen. A day's rest followed by the Brooks Half Marathon. 5 laps plus a little bit over the town centre course of Ashton-under-Lyne. And Steve Brace now has a 50-second lead over Harry Clegg. Harry has moved into second place with that run yesterday and that convincing defeat of Tony O'Kell. And Karen Wapshot has an enormous lead now, 3.5 minutes, and one of her rivals, Angela Deegan, has dropped out after the run across Tameside. She had a baby 6 months ago and obviously hasn't had enough time to get into top condition, and you really have to be in some kind of condition to dispute the leadership in a race of this nature. And it's Harry Clegg tonight he's wearing a white vest with a dark blue band, who's heading the huge field at the start of this half marathon. Again, they're being cautious. They know that there's 13.1 miles to go. It's a long way. It's 5 laps, and on each of those 5 laps, there's quite a steep hill. And a lot can happen in this race. Thankfully, the sun is not shining. It's no direct sunlight to trouble the runners, and the summer hasn't been particularly brilliant this year, which is a small blessing for the Tour of Tameside, or for the runners that is, but I don't think we really want to keep up the kind of weather we've had over the last couple of years. Tony O'Kell takes up the running now, perhaps hoping to claw back second place by the end of this stage from Harry Clegg. Dave Rigby, number 79, in the grey vest and yellow shorts. Stephen Wheeler in the blue vest and blue shorts, still heading up by quite a margin the junior section of the race. Martin Cruikshank, who didn't feature prominently the night before, is in that group now, trying to get back up into the leading positions and to help East Cheshire to a team victory if possible. There are team races for clubs, there are team races for veterans, there are team races for company teams, so there's lots of interest further down the field in what's happening, apart from what's happening right at the front of the race. And again, Steve Brace is playing it very cautious. He seems to have disappeared somewhere on this first lap, and there's quite a big group at the start, so it's surprising that he's not there. But 3 wins in 3 races does take quite a bit out of your body, and we'll have to wait to see what he's up to tonight. And down the far end of the course, the back straight you might say, slightly downhill, a long downhill, Tony O'Kell and Harry Clegg, and I think Harry's making the pace here, have broken well away from that following group, which is just being headed now, in fact just being left by Steve Brace, but it's about a 60 to 70 metre gap there. But look at Brace coming on now. This is absolutely incredible, because that second group are not hanging about, and in the space of 200 metres he must have closed about 60 metres. Well, that's almost sprinting. But there he is, he's right on the back of him, and O'Kell can't believe it. He looks over his shoulder and says, you know, where did he come from? And just look how far he's left that group by. Now, this ought to take too much out of him by any kind of logical thinking. So can he hang on to these two? Are they going to put the pressure on there to try and get rid of him? But now he seems to be just loping along. He seems to be in a comfortable kind of rhythm, so maybe he's going to hang on to them. And I doubt if anybody else will in fact come up to this group, although that long telephoto shot shows that there is a large group in pursuit as they head down a long gradual slope towards Oldham Road and then left down to the start again in the centre of Ashton-under-Lyne outside the baths there. And this is back to the start. The road has been coned off. It's quite a busy road, this, and the police do a great job keeping the traffic away from the runners, because it does get very complicated on a short circuit of this nature. The runners get lapped, and there are times at the latter stage of the race when there are runners all over that 2.5 mile circuit, and after the first lap they're anxious to grab drinks and sponges, so they must be feeling the heat that the spectators are not feeling. And Tony O'Kell is forcing the pace again from Harry Clegg, and Steve Brace is using those sponges to wipe the perspiration from his face, to get moisture onto his arms and legs, to let the air blow over this moisture and to cool his body down. A momentary lapse for Steve as he went through his cooling process, but not for long, and he's there straight away right on the shoulders of these two runners, watching what they're doing as again they head up the hill into Cricket's Lane and over the top of the hill down the long back straight again, and we can see, with the benefit of the telephoto shot, a huge following group. Now they haven't run, they're just finishing the second lap, and in fact they're lapping one competitor. Glenys Scott, in fact, the woman on the left, I think is the only one in the race. I think the other was a helper. So she's going to be out for a long time tonight. I think it'll be dark when she finishes. But finish she will. Well, all these three look quite determined. A look of concentration on the faces, not strained, just pure concentration. And they'll keep up this concentration for 13.1 miles, which is some achievement. And again, second lap, drinks. Steve Baker of Horwich comes through, and he's ignoring both the drinks and the sponges by the looks of it. The guy in white there, 273, Jeff Coulson from Valley Stride, is an interesting character. He's well up in the race, but in fact he entered just for an experience, if you will, and he promised his wife that he was going to go to a wedding on Saturday. So this guy is going to be well up in the top 10 of the race, and he's not going to be able to finish it because on Saturday his wife has put her foot down and says, "You are going to that wedding as promised," and there he has to go, and what a shame. Groups forming now as the runners split up. David Sutton is not a race leader. His club has adopted those bright fluorescent colours for their own club colours, so he's travelled up from South Burnham Joggers Athletic Club, and welcome he is too. The man in the black vest and the yellow band there is from Aberdeen, Steve Milton, so he's travelled a long way. And here they come again, lapping the tail-enders as they sweep through on their relentless progress into the last two laps. A lot of water being dispensed at this officials feed station. In fact, there is another feed station put on by a pub, the Hot Pole, just before the end of the lap. I understand that they're serving only water and not beer, unless you've got some money with you. But I don't think it'd be advisable to be drinking pints of bitter with 5 or 6 miles still to go in the race. Neil Canham, a local school teacher. And the guy in the blue shorts is Pete Rogers, and he's the other guy running from Bahrain. Comes over every year, will be over 50 next year, and is promising to win that division. Karen Wapshot in her race leader's vest, the leading lady once more on this 4th stage. Keith Wilkinson in the red vest there, again another staunch supporter of the Tour of Tameside from the Reebok Racing Club. It's hard to believe, but most of these people are actually enjoying this. Or are they? I think certainly they enjoy that first pint when the race is over, having exerted themselves so much. And we see some of the tail enders now tackling that cricket's lane, which the leaders seem to fly up.
Get it now, back on the twice. Go on, Steve.
Well, Steve comes in now at the end of the race, well clear of his opposition for a 4th stage win. Obviously timed it to perfection, he knew what he was doing, put the boot in where it mattered, has come home a really good winner, although obviously it's taken quite a bit out of him. And Harry Clegg comes in 2nd place, deservedly tired after that 13.1 mile hard run, because these guys are not jogging and sprinting at the end, they're running hard all the way. And on to the 5th stage, the Athletics Weekly cross-country race. No, you've had a good battle with this guy, John Nettleton from Tadcaster. Do you think you're going to be able to keep it up for the rest of the 2 stages and take the over 45s again?
I'm hoping so, because I've now got a 40-second lead, and all I've got to do now is to hold on to John, but also I've got to keep my eye on Pete Lummis, who's moving through very, very well from Stockport.
Good, well I'll be watching that part of the race and hoping to be with you next year. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Ronnie.
Well, off they go.